Friday afternoon, you're watching the Pulse on the Joy News channel. Coming up this afternoon, the Social Enterprise Development Foundation, Send Ghana, is calling on government to reintroduce road tolls in Ghana, arguing that per its analysis of the 2023 budget statement, government is having difficulties in raking in more revenues. We'll tell you why the group believes this is the time for government to introduce the revenue measure. Meanwhile, former President John Dramani Mahama is wading into the performance of the economy, arguing that his 24-hour economy is the solution to Ghana's economic woes. He is also taking a swipe at President Akufo-Addo, describing his Ghana Beyond Aid as a policy that has now made Ghana a beggar nation.
As of October 2023, credit to the private sector had decreased significantly by 31.6%. And this is because of the government's excessive borrowing over the last 7 years.
We'll tell you more as the former president has been engaging CEOs and also putting out his economic solution. We'll also get some reaction from government on this. Plus, we're also looking at to the district level elections with a call from the local government minister, Dan Botwe, asking all members of parliament to ramp up support and to show up participation in the local level elections.
I entreat my honorable members of parliament in this August House to whip up enthusiasm of the electorate to turn out on Tuesday, 19 December 2023, and vote massively for the representatives to their respective assemblies and unit committees.
Minister Dan Botwe will be outlining a bit more what government intends to do to ramp up support and also participation in this year's local level elections. You're watching the Pulse on the Joy News channel. We're on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and also at myjoyonline.com. I'm Lester Sugan. Joy News is independent, fearless, and credible. We'll talk about the economy right after this. This afternoon, the Social Enterprise Development Foundation, Send Ghana, is calling for the reintroduction of road toll collection in Ghana. The group, in its 2023 budget analysis report, says the suspension of the revenue measure in 2022 hampered government's revenue generation, arguing that government is now struggling to generate the needed revenue to undertake its numerous developmental projects. Per a 5-year Send Ghana analysis, it is emerging that the country's tax revenue per GDP has been below the expectations, with the 2024 projections, for instance, of a range of 13.6% being the lowest among some 33 African countries in 2023, which all have an average of 15.6%. Well, what measure of funding can the road toll policy bring to the nation? We've been tracking that up, going back to our own analysis of the kind of revenue measures we've been getting from the road tolls. Here are excerpts on your screens right now, giving you a breakdown of what the road toll analysis looks like. So when you look at the average annual revenue, we're getting somewhere around 72 million Ghana cedis on the average revenue per day, amounting to some 197,260 Ghana cedis. And in terms of the number of public toll points that we had prior to the reversal of the policy, a total of 38, giving us that significant amount of money, a reason for which the belief is that the revenue that we've lost so far as of the time the policy directive was given by the Transport Ministry amounted to some 95.6 million Ghana cedis. Is the reason for which Send Ghana is making that keen argument, asking for the reintroduction of the road tolls. The Road Workers Union, or Road Toll Workers Union, are equally joining that fray, asking for some measures to be brought back, which will also create associated employment opportunities. So I want to bring in now two individuals helping us do the discussion. Tajuddin Mohammed Abdullahi is Programs Officer for St. Ghana, joining us via Zoom now, and also Edward Duncan, the Secretary of the Ghana Toll Workers Union. Thank you, gentlemen, for spending some time with us here on the polls. I want to start off with you, Tajuddin, looking at the significant revenue loss that the country has been experiencing, 95 million plus per our last check, and that figure is certainly going up. So we're also looking at, the difficulty that government also finds itself in, the fact that there is a political cost to it, because the assurance is the e-levy would work. We don't need road tolls. We're between a rock and a hard place. You can imagine where Ghana and by extension government is finding itself. Tajuddin?
Yeah. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to our cherished viewers. I think that our cause is very simple, because, for example, we know that for this year's budget, government is projected to spend over 226 billion, with revenue mobilization around 176 billion. So that means that there's going to be some kind of revenue shortfalls. Over the years, government has been struggling to kind of find its program and activities. So it was quite surprising to us that the road toll that was actually generating a minimum of 72 billion cedis in a year was removed. And subsequently, this program was reintroduced. But over a year ago, since it was introduced, we do not know why government is still failing to implement it. More than a year that it was actually reintroduced again. We think that this is the kind of a low-hanging fruit that government can really kind of trap and mobilize revenue from to help it implement its planned activities. So, which is why we are actually asking the government to bring the road toll back. And we are also
Tajuddin, I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
When you say that's a low-hanging fruit, that's where a lot of economists will have challenges with you. The government is supposed to be innovative about its, revenue mobilization. Yet you put that in your report, pointing out that it's almost as though government could rake in a lot of money without its associated cost and the political bearing on that.
So do we know why the government decided to take it off?
Yeah, but they've provided the reason, security implications as well, they say.
But the fact is that we're losing monies, because if you consider the amount of money that the country was generating from the fund, at least 72 billion cedis could do something. And we are talking about a government that over the years struggles to kind of fund, is always you have our expenditure being higher than our revenue mobilization target. And so we are thinking that one of the ways that government can shore up its revenue mobilization is actually to bring back this rule too. So that is a basis for our call.
Okay, we'll take a look at some of the other recommendations you're making per the analysis of the 2024 budget statement, I should say. We'll get into all of those ones, but the Ghana Toll Workers Union are also joining the conversation. They seem to be agreeing with you on this point, and it's a good time also to hear from Eddie Duncan, who's, of course, a leading figure of that group. Eddie, of course, you've been listening to the conversation, the argument from St. Ghana. But I recall that you've tried on countless occasions. You've been on this show as well, asking government to consider that as a major policy measure. Now, of course, the science is backing it, isn't it?
Yes. Good afternoon, Blessed, and good afternoon to your viewers, cherished viewers as well, and to all Ghana Toll Workers, and to the panelists that you have on there. I mean, this is a call that you rightly put it. It's something that we have called for over all these years. We have made a point that the government decision, first of all, to scrap tolls collection was unnecessary. It was needful. It was needless, sorry. And the reasons that they gave when you were speaking, you said something about security. The reasons which they cited, we've said it time and time again that they are not true. There was no point in time where there was any fight or fisticuff between toll collectors and drivers. So to use that as a basis for rushing and closing down toll is rather unfortunate, coming from honorable members of parliament. So I am happy that now a lot of civil society and a lot of Ghanaians have seen the need for the government to bring back the tolls. It's just unfortunate that it's the government that does not see the need to bring back tolls, seeing that we need a lot of revenue. There were two high points for me that I expected the government to at least reintroduce tolls. When they saw that e-levy did not make the revenue that they were expecting. So that was a point that we expected them to bring it. And then also, when we realized that we don't have much money, that we need to go to IMF, we felt that IMF encourages the government to generate revenue internally. So we thought that, okay, since the structure and everything is already there, the government should quickly reintroduce toll collection. But unfortunately, they did not. For whatever reason, we cannot really tell. So I am happy. Quite recently, I heard that we heard that concerned drivers union also was making a point or making a statement that the government needs to reintroduce toll collections. Mm-hmm. So indeed, I mean, if concerned drivers union are saying it, toll workers are saying it, and now civil society and most organizations are also saying that the government should reintroduce toll collection. It really beats my mind.
Yeah, I guess you're supporting all of this because of the employment implications. Simply because you guys are out of employment, and you believe it would just be a way of solving your challenge.
That is a point. Apart from that, too, we're looking about raking revenue for the government, raking revenue for maintenance of roads, because road collections, toll collections is for the maintenance of roads. I mean, that aside, so the money, I mean, even if, and we make an argument, even if the government is not making any money from toll collection, but is able to employ about 800 workers who, if we were not employed, could be engaged in other activities that could pose insecurity to the government. Because at another interview, I made a point that some of our members are people who come from the hinterlands, where there's galamsey and everything going on. So if these people, because you have taken their legal means of making money away from them, and they have access to all these galamsey pits, don't you think that it will be enticing for them to go and do this kind of these illegal activities that you are trying to stop by spending taxpayers' money? So, I mean, the government, I don't really understand. We don't really understand what is happening. The government
and very critical point you're raising there. But Tajuddin, the point about the e-levy and the kind of effect government had wanted to achieve at the time should not be lost on us when making this argument. Yes, 72 billion from road tolls is significant, but the feeling is with the likes of electronic tax measures such as the e-levy, government could be raking in far more money than the road tolls.
Well, I think that e-levy is not, government is not actually generating as much as is desired. Since the e-levy was introduced, we know if government is even doing a quarter of their revenue target on yearly basis. It's not really working as the government needed it to work. So, which is why we are thinking that all efforts should be made to kind of look for alternative sources of funding for government activities. Which is why that we think that the rule to why are they not coming out clear? Let us know why, even after it was approved in the 2023 budget, it hasn't been implemented up to now. That is a major concern. If it is about the security or if it's about the revenue losses, one of our proposals will also be to ensure there is an automated system, implement electronic system, so that it is going to improve the kind of efficiency and then block the kind of leakages that government was also anticipating or experiencing during the manual collection period.
Your
so in terms of the government is not making the needed revenue. The government has never met half of its target on a yearly basis. So which is why we are thinking that the rule tool ought to be brought back.
Yeah, but pay your projection and pay your projection. How much are we likely to rake in if we go back to the road tolls? Because mind you, there's also the associated costs that will come to that. Some of the tolling points, for instance, on the Accra-Tema motorway stretch, completely gone. We need to invest more to bring them up to standard, perhaps introduce technology. That's all coming at a cost, isn't it?
Well, there's no any projection, but the point is that, like you rightly projected on your screen, we know, if for nothing at all, that government was mobilizing or generating over 72 billion on a yearly basis. For us, that is enough to be able to do something. as far as the implementation of government plans and activities are concerned.
Let's look at the other social measures that you're equally concerned about, and you point out in various sectors, health, agriculture, and all of them. What more could be done?
Well, we think that generally, if you look at the budget, there is some improvement in terms of the funds allocation, but some kind of improvement is needed. I have always maintained that as a country, we are always quick to sign up for international treaties, committing ourselves to be able to commit some amount of some percentage of our GDP to implement activities, but we are always falling short. For example, over 20 years ago, government went to Abuja to commit that on a yearly basis, we're going to commit at least 12% of 15% of our GDP to the health sector. As we speak now, over 20 years ago, we are doing less than 8% on a yearly basis. When it comes to agric, 10% commitment during the CAD treaty, government is doing less than 2% on a yearly basis. Look at the NHIS fund. Government was supposed to generate revenue from our SNP contribution and then the NHIS levy, put it in the NHIS fund. But because of the capping over the years, government almost transferred less than 70% of their funds into the National Health Insurance Fund, which is why we are beginning to see most facilities are struggling to kind of attend to clients, because we are gradually going back to the cash and carry system, because government is delaying and releasing claims for the payments of health providers. So generally, there's been some kind of improvement in terms of the budgetary allocation. But of course, the concern has always been the releases. To what extent do government or does government release funds that they commit to implement key programs that will help us reduce poverty and inequality in the country?
I see. Of course, Duncan, the aspect about government looking for alternative measures in raking in funds, so we equally provide alternative jobs for your members. You're talking about the possible security implications. Why not look at that aspect of your livelihood and empowerment instead of still being fixated over a year now after the road tolls have been taking off? Why not focus on an alternative livelihood program as government or the transport ministry announced, and pursue that instead of going back to the tolling centers? Duncan, I hope you can hear me. And kindly unmute so I can hear the point you're sharing with us, Duncan.
Yes, I have. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you and I know that it's been 2 years since the government made that promise of finding alternate livelihood for us, and 2 years of sitting in a house, and then nothing like alternate livelihoods has even been presented to us. So we know that the government simply doesn't have anywhere else to take us. That is on one side. The other side is that the tolling points, it's something that not this government, it's not the doing of this government, or it's not the establishment of this government, this present administration. It's for the government of Ghana. And so if for one reason or the other you want to scrap it, it should go through the right process. It should go through Parliament, so for Parliament to really discuss it in depth before it is implemented. And like my brother rightly said, the government needs revenue urgently. The tolling points or toll collection, you don't need too much revenue to operate toll collections. You don't need too much money to operate it. It's just that now that the structures have been destroyed, that is where you need to put money in, of course, before. But toll collections, I don't know any business that is more profitable than toll collection, because, you're giving me figures, but the figures that I have, for 20 of the major tolls, we're making over 200,000 cedis a day. For just 20 of the major tolls, we're making over 200,000 cedis a day. So you can imagine all these monies. And then also, I know this point is unpopular with drivers and all, but when you compare the rate that we are paying in Ghana to that of our neighboring countries, or even to, if you put it side by side, or other toll collection in any other country, ours is the lowest. It's unfortunate. Drivers might not like this, but that is what it is. Ours is very low. And so if the government really needs to generate money or wants a lot of revenue from it, they can look at adjusting it upward a little bit so that they can make enough money. But then the key factor or the key point is that the money that is generated should be put to good use.
I see. To
the use for which those toll stations were established or the toll system was established.
Okay.
That money should be put to that use so that the people who are paying, the communities, the drivers who are paying will know that indeed the money they are paying is reflecting on the roads. It's just ironic that sometimes where you pay the toll is where you will get your flat tire because of a pothole or because of an iron rod sticking out from a pothole.
I see.
It's just so sad.
And Tajuddin, the point about, so that reflected in your report as well, I must point out, the point about our tax to GDP ratio. You've done some analysis on that as well, bringing us to somewhere below the 15.3 plus percentage average for about 33 other African countries. That's what you have in your report. But the point is, in whose interest? The citizenry are happy not paying so much, yet the government wants more. You find that hard to balance almost all the time, isn't it?
I'm not sure it is about the point of citizens being happy about the fact that government. You see, there had been a kind of there have been a lot of calls, not just from civil society, but even from the citizens. Like my brother actually mentioned, I think the point about Ghanaians attitude towards paying taxes, the fact that most of the time we don't know how the taxes are used. And so if I pay tax and at the end of the day, I'm aware that government is going to use the tax to address my welfare, I'll be interested to pay. The difficulty is that we pay taxes. At the end of the day, we don't know how our taxes are being used. He just mentioned the fact that at the point that you pay the toll is the same point that you have a flat tire. It means that our rules are not even, there are so many challenges. And so the bottom line is that Ghanaians want to know how their taxes are being used. It is not the case that Ghanaians generally don't like paying taxes. That is the difficulty that we have.
I see.
It's about the utilization.
Yeah, and we'll keep being on the lookout for the need for us to mobilize more revenue. And in fact, speaking about how poor the road network is, I must say thank you to, of course, Tajuddin and also Duncan for joining us on the conversation this afternoon on The Pulse. But lots of concerns regarding our road network because residents of Apiedu, Apimso, Emina, and also the Kokomben areas in the Oforikrom municipality of the Ashanti region have been demonstrating today against bad roads in the area and what they are describing as bad leadership of the government. They are particularly angry about the delay in the completion of some major road networks in the area, which they say has turned into a death trap. The protesting residents actually say access to healthcare, especially for pregnant women, is impeded by the poor nature of the road network you find in their community. There's more in this report.
Clad in red, residents of Emina, Apiedu, Kokomben and Apimso marched along their communities, making brief stops at some areas to highlight problems in the municipality. Bridges constructed over huge drains within the municipality have deteriorated by flood waters. Some lives have been lost. The concerned youth of Oforikrom constituency expressed worry about the risk associated with using the roads amidst economic challenges. Addressing the press, leader of the group, Jerry James Suka, said the community is lagging behind in terms of development.
The deteriorating state of this crucial road has become a pressing concern for the residents, impacting our daily lives, economic activities, and overall well-being. The road's current condition poses significant challenges, including but not limited to inconvenience and safety hazards. Choboy, yeah. Choboy, yeah. The poor road conditions create inconvenience for commuters and pose safety hazards for both motorists and pedestrians. Choboy, yeah. Economic implications. The road's deteriorated state hinders economic activities, affecting local businesses, transportation of goods, and overall development of the community.
Some concerned residents shared their frustration with Joy News.
We all know that we are citizens here in Ghana, and as a citizens in Ghana, we have our right to to exercise our rights. And we voted for Akufo-Addo Bawumia government to come and put things in place for us so that every Ghanaian or every citizen may have the feel of the country. But this is the case that we voted for Akufo-Addo and Bawumia government, and they are not doing anything for the citizens. And it is very pathetic. Or is it a crime for we, the citizens, to vote for a leader? No. So if it is not a crime, why are they refusing to do our vote for us? Listen, there was a time a woman who was pregnant, he was passing by the Oforikuom Road. You see the deplorable road, because of the deplorable road, he gets miscarriage about his pregnancy, and it's very pathetic to see all these things. So we are begging the government of the day to come and fix our roads, and it should bear in mind that they have just 364 days. As at yesterday, they were having 365 days, but now they are having 364 days to leave office, and we are prompting them to do our roads for us. If they do or if they don't do, we are going to sack them from government coming 2024. Na mafu bedi so yehu de oyeye na ye ka cha Akufo-Addo ne Bawumia ne se amambo no mu bunu yehu so amambo no mu bunu wo First House no yehu so o mu timi mo mo so de frade so ne ye nkwala ne metra so ye kura ni mamambo sene no ade no mo haya kuma sa e na okoto ade untimi to bronya ye se akoko baako 2 million 1.5 ade
e kwan ne nye na adwuma bia nso ni o man mu obi ye so beto ka kwan kwan nti o ma bia wase no beso ba ye beto ka na ma enu nya ne hawo na adwuma nso ni o man mu na Christian Adamu man so san eboa ne mofo ka se bla adwuma akra bi na ese yen so o te Akufo-Addo so sa mu 10%. Ucha bet na so say dia Akufo-Addo sa 10%. No sa 10%. Ka na kwan ni na anya nya adwuma bia ye bet na etwa ne nya riridi. Ucha bet na say dia Akufo-Addo mu 10%. Onya adwuma bia ma no sa be 10%.
For Joy News, Nana Boache Dankwa Yadom, Kumasi.
And we are your election headquarters. Former President John Dramani Mahama is accusing President Akufo-Addo of discarding his 40-year development plan and replacing that with the Ghana Beyond Aid plan that has now turned Ghana into a nation that begs. Speaking at the 9th Ghana CEO Network Business Cocktail here in Accra, he indicated that the 24-hour economy policy originates from the 40-year development plan put together by the National Development Planning Commission when he was president, which he says has now been ignored by the current government.
Many have shut down their businesses, and hundreds of thousands of workers who were laid off are still at home. Businesses that moved their headquarters from Ghana to our neighboring countries have not returned. The poorly thought through banking sector cleanup has left thousands of skilled financial sector workers jobless and impoverished. And as I speak, the second tranche of the IMF's extended credit facility, which was due on 1st November, has still not been received because of a delay by external creditors to sign off on our debt restructuring program. Of course, the consequence of our debt default has also started manifesting. For the first time in 30 years, Ghana struggled to put together a cocoa syndication loan, which had almost become a routine activity on our financial calendar. Major infrastructural projects have ground to a halt because lenders have cut funding as a direct fallout from our debt default. Independent power producers continue to threaten power cuts due to mounting debts that affect their operations. One of the producers threatened a few days ago to take out 560 megawatts of power before a promise to pay was made. Ghanaians face grave uncertainty if more of these independent power producers follow suit. As a proud Ghanaian and a political leader, it is disheartening for me that government has severely damaged our country's reputation on the global stage. Recent data from available research shows the cost of living in Ghana is very high and people are struggling to make ends meet due to the economic downturn. This includes pensioners who invested their life savings in government bonds, hoping to enjoy a better life in retirement. Business confidence remains low, with private sector credit declining in real terms. As of October 2023, credit to the private sector had decreased significantly by 31.6%. And this is because of the government's excessive borrowing over the last 7 years and its reliance on the short-term treasury market. Lending rates increased to over 32% in October 2023 due to the Bank of Ghana's tight monetary policy, high treasury bill rates, and rising non-performing loans. The immutable reality is that the first 3 quarters of the year 2023 have also been a tragic period for Ghana's industries, causing a setback for the country's economic transformation. While the mining and quarrying sector is still holding out, most subsectors such as construction, electricity, water supply, sewage, and waste management have experienced a decline. These are clear signs of an ailing economy, an economy whose industrial base is failing and businesses collapsing with growing unemployment and its associated poverty and misery.
Well, the governing New Patriotic Party is challenging the claims of the former president. Joining us now is presidential staffer Dennis Miracles Abuaji. Thank you, sir, for spending some time with us. The former president there alarmed about the status of the economy. But, of course, we know it's of no surprise, not even to the president, that the economy is indeed ailing. What's your take, first of all, on the proposition that we go back to the National Development Planning Commission and then take a look at the 40-year development plan and pick up the lessons from the 24-hour economy?
In the 40-year development plan. And
Dennis, I'm having challenges hearing you. If you could just come up a bit for me.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, I was asking if you have actually seen the 40-year development plan as well. And if you have, if you can point out the 24-hour economy in there for us to discuss. It's quite easy to recount the obvious challenges that the economy is going through. One that has been acknowledged by everybody in government, with all of its causes quite known to everybody, including himself, the former president, who has already stated when he had his forum at one of the foreign universities, and then admitted clearly that one of the things affecting our economy today is as a result of COVID. COVID-19 has been devastating to the global economy. It has disrupted the global supply chain all over the world.
Dennis, I'm having difficulties hearing you. I was just, if we can just try one more time, about how government intends to welcome this proposition or about the 24-hour economy. Can we?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Is it better?
That's better. Yes, that's better. Right.
So I was saying that it's very easy for the former president to just recount the obvious challenges and difficulties. That is very easy. What he fails to do is to give a clear indication as to what is being done to resolve this challenge that is part of the global economic difficulties that all other countries are going through, and how he believes he has a superior alternative to what we are trying to put in place to resolve some of these things. But come on, is there any country in the world today that is not going through these difficulties? He himself has admitted on several platforms outside this country that the Ghanaian economy is going through crisis as a result of the exogenous challenges with COVID-19. He himself is on record to have said that. And so if you acknowledge the cause of this challenge, the primary cause of this challenge, and we're all working together to be able to resolve some of these things, it's not enough for you to just recount. It's important for you to tell us how you believe you have a superior alternative to what is being put in place to resolve this once and for all. The challenges we face today in 2023 are definitely not the same challenges we faced in the second part of 2022. It's obvious that since 2022 to now, we have seen some improvements from where we were in 2022. And today, that is why today you see some stability in terms of our cedi against the dollar since January to now, unlike we experienced between March 2022 to December 2022. Today, the dollar that went all the way to about 17 cedis in somewhere in November 2022, is around 12 cedis in 2023. That shows a stark improvement from where we were. The prices of fuel went so high as at the end of 2022. You see it declining steadily in 2023. We saw prices of goods go up so high in 2022. Today, when you go to the market, some of these goods that we use, you can see the prices going down as we speak. I mean, vegetable oil, the big ones with the yellow gallons were selling around 1,500 to 1,800 somewhere late last year. Today, it's come all the way to our 500 to 550 cedis. We know the government's intervention when it comes to dealing with the skyrocketing fuel prices. When government decided to introduce a Good for Oil initiative to try and reduce our demand for forex, so we stabilize our currency and see some improvement in our fuel prices. And you can see its positive impact. And so it's important that if we are going to have this kind of conversation, then the former president should not just be lifting the obvious, the things that every other country knows and every other country is going through, but also indicate that these are the things that the government is putting in place. This is the result so far. I believe that I have a superior alternative to what the government is putting in place, and this is my superior alternative. Then the people of Ghana can judge. As for the challenges, they are here with us, just as they are with the United States of America, which is experiencing a 40-year-old inflation, something they have never seen in a very long time. So if the former president is recounting things that are happening in Ghana that we haven't seen in so many years, it is because there are things happening in the global world that were unforeseen, that all other countries are going through it and are trying to get their solution.
And away from the politics of it, is this not a policy measure that government is thinking of adopting, at least, even if it's a political statement that is being made by someone who wants to become president?
No, I mean, you are calling because someone who wants to become president had made a statement, and that would have to be interrogated. And so the point is that I've outlined to you actions that governments have put in place since the most difficult period in 2022 to try and stabilize our currency. And I've mentioned the Good for Oil, and I've shown you how its rippling effect is possibly impacting prices of goods in the market. And so the question should be going to the one who made that statement, that these are the things that government is doing. What is your alternative? You initially mentioned the 40-year development plan, and you mentioned 24 hours. And I asked you, have you seen the 40-year development plan yourself? And can you point which state has a 24-hour policy? And specifically, what did the 24-hour policy in the 40-year development plan say? Then we can be having a conversation. As we speak, the National Development Planning Commission has a Ghana at 100 development plan. The 40-year development plan the former president speaks of was going to run and end in 2057. The current development plan, that is the Ghana at 100 development plan, National Development Plan, that the National Development Planning Commission has, also ends in 2057. Anchored in that policy, in that plan, is industrialization. And that is why, for the first time, you have a government that has a deliberate strategy geared towards leading and working with private sector to industrialize this country. It takes a while, it takes time, but there's a blueprint and there's evidence of some of these things happening. Look at what is happening in the automobile industry. Since the 50s and the 60s, when did you see car manufacturing companies actually assembling vehicles in this country to reduce the pressure that we have on our forests? But it is happening. Look at the number of factories that are dotted across the country, albeit not covering every space. There is evidence of these factories that are deliberately led and engineered by government to try and industrialize our economy. So the questions you're asking, you're already playing out. And so if you really want to be able to understand what the former president is saying, then you should take the question back to him that, Mr. President, the government has basically led an industrialized venture, working with private sector, developing and adding value to the things that we produce in our district. The government has introduced policies to try to stabilize our currency through the Gold for Oil initiative. The government has a whole transformational plan in terms of our automobile companies, which currently has about 4 or 5 automobile companies assembling in this country. What is your alternative? You can't just recount the challenges. and then walk away.
Okay.
And so I think you should go back to the former president and get your answer.
Okay, then. Thank you, Dennis, for joining us. And, of course, Dennis Miracles Abuaji is presidential staffer joining the conversation here on The Pulse. You're with us. And still to come, Minister for Local Governance, that's Dan Botchwey, is rallying the public to participate massively in the upcoming district-level elections. It's coming up shortly.
I entreat my honorable members of parliament in this August House to whip up enthusiasm of the electorate to turn out on Tuesday, 19 December 2023, and vote massively for the representatives to their respective district assemblies and unit committees.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see SINTEX. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Yay! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Every day, people have money emergencies.
Mom, I need my school fees.
Emergency.
Mommy, chop
money emergency. Emergency. Catch it. I'm your rent. Emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town.
More money, challenge and enjoyment. At the top life we got.
Dial star 770 hash for all your money emergencies and chop life.
Dial star 770 hash for money emergencies and get easy and quick access to your money, loans, and other banking needs. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
And that's how when they share comfort, not teaching hospital. The home ya kura ni bia. And so they drew their jensem. And what can he say? BCC I are sabi. Man a fan into my pefrebio. Man a se baby a. Esese ni pa kokoji ayarishe. Yura asantehene. Otumfo ose tutu abebio. E de ye na koma so ade. See BCC G. Ama na chen kane nimpo.
And then it's a was here feature saying, so. And now, woman, we see the Bible magic, woman, we want this magic, a child, as our magic. So, we had the boom, I answer the pet. So, as I spent there, she said, it's mommy and yam, yeah, Yagabani was sit down with you. So,
and penning for the when you boa, saying you who know. I are a sabia, a se, a fata, ni dimu angasa. Nanso yankote adrumra eno ane ahanai ebehia omo a ansane ni swade hu we abem yikakra fama yikakra faboa ne yiya eyema yenyina boa na otumfo Hill Cath project no enwie bayo obetumi afasa akwan mu bia so e de aboa.
With Joy FM, Roverman Productions presents For Girls, The Spell. an original Able White play.
No, Sister Amade. Before we go, sister, there is something the Lord has put upon my heart for you. I think the Lord is leading me to you.
Oh, brother. You know, you are like the clouds in
Really?
me. Yes, brother. When you disappear, it's always a beautiful day for me. If the Lord could lead you, why didn't he lead you to a shop where they sell deodorant?
Ah, sister, pray about it. I am sure the Lord will.
You know what? Right now, I need something only you can give
What
me.
is that, sister?
Your departure.
Venue, Burma Hall at Burma Camp. Dates, December 2nd, 3rd, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Time, first show on Friday at 7 p.m. 2 shows on Saturday at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. 3 shows on Sunday at 1 p.m., 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. Rates, 150 Ghana cedis. For tickets, dial *365 *535#. WhatsApp 050-554-6010 or visit all usual outlets. Sponsors, Gino and GCB Bank.
Up for grabs for one rough diamond is the chance to be propelled onto the world's coolest catwalks and most amazing magazines. I'm back in Ghana to give one rough diamond the opportunity to propel onto the coolest catwalks and fashion magazines in the world. This is a journey of discovery for the nation's most promising model. Hi, I'm Stella Larby, and I'm Africa's Model Scout.
Staying with us, the Institute of African Studies is 60 years old, and in line with the celebration, a series of carefully selected activities centered around the theme, the African Genius 60 Years of African Studies, will be taking place both within the academic community and beyond to mark this year's celebration. Guess what? We're privileged to be joined now by Professor Samuel Intahuso, Director of the Institute, joining us here on The Pulse. Good afternoon to you, sir. And
Good
welcome.
Afternoon. Thank you so much.
Of course, congratulations, and the celebrations is still on, I believe.
Yes.
We should all be joining in that. But for those who do not know about, the institute itself, let's go back 60 years back and see why, of course, this institute was set up.
Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity. The Institute of African Studies was established in 1961 by Ghana's first president, Dr. Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah. And the establishment was actually as a result of a number of factors that seemed to be going about around that period. You remember that from the late 50s to the 60s, right, it appears pretty much of Africa was on the move for decolonization, struggle for independence. Right. So some countries actually succeeded in doing so. But Nkrumah also realized that even though we had some kind of political independence, there was an aspect that also needed to be decolonized, and that is issues of the academy or academic work. So this institute was established around that time to be able to conduct research and also to teach about Africa. Now, you may recall, or many people may recall, that the academic decolonization at that time was very necessary because there were a lot of scholars, especially based in the West, who had a very different view and a very different representation of Africa.
Society.
Yes, so mostly backward people and that kind of thing. So Nkrumah wanted us to research and to teach using African-centered ways. In fact, Trevor Roper, for example, in one of his public lectures had indicated that Africa doesn't even have history, and that all there is about African history is darkness, and that darkness is no subject of history. So with such a statement, definitely as a president, you need to do something about it. Yeah. And one way of handling it was to establish
setting up the Institute
of African Studies.
And I must point out that you've done a tremendous job trying to enforce that, Pan-African narrative. We see that in the likes of the, I believe, dance ensemble.
Yes,
that of course you have under your wrap. So tell us about how you're using culture and all of these literary works to try and project the African and also by extension the institution which you serve, the University of Ghana.
Yes, so following this charge, a charge that actually was contained in Nkrumah's speech, popularly called the African Janus.
Right.
What happened was that then faculty decided to approach this whole process of educating and expanding people's knowledge about our culture and identity through different units. Right. So, for example, we then had about six units. One unit dealing with the history and politics, another dealing with language, literature, and drama, another dealing with religions and philosophy, societies and cultures. So that is how we've decided to divide our roles so that each faculty, each staff within any of these units is able to project or carry forward the African culture using this kind of unit-centered approach.
I see. Now, 60 years on, and of course, you're still celebrating that genius.
Yes.
You equally want to improve and produce more, market-ready students that will influence and, of course, come up with more works that will impact on society. Tell us about the activities we're likely to see now that you're moving into that phase of celebrating 60 years.
Okay, so it's going to be more or less a year-long thing, and I like the fact that you mentioned the Ghana Dance Ensemble. Right. Mm-hmm. The reason is that the Ghana Dance Ensemble is very unique. Right. Many see the dance ensemble merely maybe in terms of entertainment, but that is not what it is. The Ghana Dance Ensemble more or less spread our research work through performance. Yeah. So by doing so, they also contribute in terms of teaching and in terms of advocacy. Now, to what extent are we able to do this through our programs? We, on the 14th of this month, I think that will be on Thursday, we are going to have a kind of symposium of all past directors. We think that each director had a very unique way of trying to bring into fruition this kind of African genius. So we are going to have about 6 of them that will tell us what they have done during their tenure so far in order to be able to spread this whole idea of African identity and culture. That is on the 14th. Mm-hmm. Then on the 16th, it will be a Saturday, we are going to award our past directors, our deputy directors, and our retired faculty. We think that they've contributed so much, not only in terms of research, but also in terms of teaching and advocacy. And it is due time that we recognize the efforts that they have been able to put in. Yes.
Prof, the debate has been on, and of course, perhaps this is the time to launch into that, 60 years of African studies, and some even go to the extent of arguing that this is the very core for which the University of Ghana was established. Mm-hmm. I mean, looking at the era in which we were at the time, the president we had who was very Pan-African in nature. Do you feel that, that spirit is dying off and we don't find that necessarily reflected in our academia?
Hurry into the Wrap Up the Year sales event at your local Ram dealer for great deals on the trucks that give you all the power you need and all the luxury you could ask for. Now get 10% below MSRP for an average of $6,219 under MSRP on the purchase of a 2023 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew cab. Not compatible with lease offers or with any other consumer incentive offers. $6,219 average based on 10% below average MSRP from all 2023 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew cab models in dealer stock. Residency restrictions apply. Take retail delivery from dealer stock by 1/2/24.
Does managing your healthcare feel like a full-time job? Bounced from one doctor to the next? All the forms, the bills, the nada bills, the...
Press 4 to repeat these options.
Does healthcare have to be this way? At Kaiser Permanente, all of us work together to make healthcare easier. And with integrated care and coverage, all you have to do is focus on your health. Learn more at kp.org. Kaiser Permanente, for all that is you.
Kaiser Foundation Health Plan of the Mid-Atlantic States Incorporated, 2101 East Jefferson Street, Rockville, Maryland, 20852.
During the Jeep Wrap-Up the Year sales event, give yourself the gift of freedom with a wide selection of great offers on your favorite Jeep brand vehicles. Now well-qualified lessees get a low-mileage lease on the 2024 Jeep Wrangler Sport S 4xe for $379 a month for 36 months with $5,549 due at signing. Tax, title, license extra. No security deposit required. Call 1-888-925-JEEP for details. Requires dealer contribution and lease through Stellantis Financial. Extra charge for miles over 30,000. Includes 7,500 EV cap cost reduction. Not all customers will qualify. Residency restrictions apply. Take delivery by 1/2. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Wells Fargo presents one of the surest ways to grow your money. A Wells Fargo CD account, where you can earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield on an 11-month term with a minimum opening deposit of $5,000. Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/CD rates to open a CD account and start growing your savings with us.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
It's the holiday mystery sale at JCPenney. How much will you save? An amazing coupon giveaway starts this Thursday. Everyone can enjoy guaranteed savings of an extra 30% off, or your chance at an extra 40 or 50% off your entire purchase in store. All the gifts you need, all the savings you want. Mystery solved. JCPenney. Make your holidays count. Offers valid on select styles 12/7 through 12/14. Exclusions apply. Giveaway in store only. Must be 18 or older. See store or jcp.com for details.
And even political life?
No, I think on the contrary, the Pan-African spirit is still much alive and going on. The thing is that there's a slight shift in terms of focus. At first, the Pan-African agenda was driven by politicians and by presidents. But this seemed to have shifted a little bit to the youth, to advocates, and also to the academy. Now, if you look at the Institute of African Studies, for example, around 1958, we convened the first kind of African conference, a kind of Pan-African conference, for us to interrogate issues of Africa and the diaspora and see how to move Africa forward in that direction. 2018, we repeated that. You know, so definitely we are doing so. If you also look at the performing arts, especially music, you see that most of the musical compositions and expressions, especially reggae music and the rest, they are still at the forefront of projecting Pan-Africanism.
I see.
And also, if you look at workshops and conferences that have been organized, both within the African continent, in Ghana, and also abroad, we still are engaging this whole thing of Pan-Africanism. You will have realized now the new thing is decolonizing the academy. You've heard of that decolonization. Everybody is trying to decolonize. I think that this whole attempt at decolonization is also an aspect of Pan-Africanism. So we are still on, and we haven't stopped that
I
yet.
see. And, you know, feeding that into curriculum and, of course, our education sector, in what ways is the African Institute using, you know, the power you have, the power of education and the academia to influence the Ghanaian society and the African continent at large?
Okay, so as I've indicated, the very reason for which we were established was just for us to research and then to be able to teach. And also,
well, just feel free about that. It's very normal technology. And of course, we'll continue the conversation shortly. But of course, it's the reason for which I'm asking where we are now and why we need, you know, real-time, contemporary academic tuition that will also reflect Pan-Africanism in what we're seeing these days. It's the reason for which I was asking the question.
Yes. So thank you so much. I think if you come to the Institute of African Studies, for example, we have developed a lot of courses, and almost all are Pan-African centered. So we have a graduate course, for example, in Pan-Africanism. We have an undergraduate program. You know, we don't award undergraduate degrees, but we teach level 200. So Africa in the Diaspora, for example, is a course that is very popular, and students sign onto it. We are also able to turn our researches into papers that we also use to. So these are the different ways by which we teach, we research, and then we expand the frontiers.
Okay, let's look at the way forward and what will be happening maybe immediately. Are we likely to have other stakeholders join you in this celebration?
Yes. So we have invited the media because we know that there's simply no way by which you can talk about the whole issue of celebrating 60 years without involving the media.
Right.
The media plays a very critical role in educating and spreading the news. So we have already sent letters to partners, and I think Joy FM will soon have.
I see. We'll be happy to be a part of that celebration.
Yes,
any message to our audience, perhaps alumni as well, people who've gone through the Institute? Any message to them?
Yes. So the message that I have for any. In fact, when we talk of alumni, I think it is good.
There are notable ones.
Well, there are notable ones, but we need to also make a very strong claim. Once you have gone through the University of Ghana, you are an alumni of African Studies because UGIC and former AFST is compulsory. You need to pass.
You would have taken a course.
Yes, definitely. So almost everybody who has gone through UG is invited. Of course, we also would like to recognize the likes like Afarijan, a former... He passed through the Institute of African Studies. That's amazing. Professor George Hagan passed through the Institute of African Studies. Professor Akosi Adumakwampofo, and several others that I have not mentioned. My message is that they should join us for us to celebrate, and they should also join us to be able to charter a new course for African Studies for the benefit of the African continent and the diaspora.
Professor Samuel Ntewuso, it's a pleasure speaking to you, and the edge is also going out to students on campus now to join in the celebration.
Definitely.
60 years of the African Genius and 60 years of the African Studies is what we're celebrating. Prof, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And we take you to some other stories this afternoon because the Minister for Local Government, Dan Botwe, is rallying the public to participate massively in the upcoming district level elections. Now, more than 6,000 local level leaders are expected to be elected to the various district assemblies. The district level elections over the years, as we've seen, have been plagued with the challenge of poor participation. Dan Botwe says MPs must get their constituents involved.
I entreat my honourable members of parliament in this August House to whip up enthusiasm of the electorate to turn out on Tuesday, 19 December 2023, and vote massively for the representatives to their respective district assemblies and unit committees. Right Honourable Speaker, decentralization has brought government closer to the people than it has ever been in almost 3 decades. Although there is no government policy to systematically create smaller local government jurisdictions, with the creation of 261 district assemblies from 110 in 1988, the average population per a local government jurisdiction has reduced substantially, thereby enabling local government to reach a smaller population. This has also reduced the proximity of local governments to locations where problems occur and where appropriate solutions may be found. The critical role of the media in creating awareness of this level elections cannot be overemphasized. Accurate and timely reportage by the media on key issues which will shape local governance should whip up and sustain the level of public interest in the processes leading up to the conduct of this level elections. It is therefore envisaged that the time and energy devoted for presidential and parliamentary elections by our friends in the media fraternity is replicated in the upcoming district level elections. It is even my ardent hope that more platforms are created by relevant bodies with deep involvement of the media to intensify the awareness and advocacy for higher voter turnouts.
Of course, that's Dan Botwe, who is the Minister for Local Government and Rural Development. Of course, Dr. Richard Fiatmo is the Executive Secretary for the Chamber of local government, who's joining the conversation for us to look at the level of participation, because concerns have been raised over time about how we've not seen good participation as compared to the national level elections. Of course, Dr. Richard Fiadmo, if you're with us and you're audio connected now, the point about the local level elections and how to improve participation. What's the proposition coming through from the Chamber of Local Government? Dr. Fiadmo, apologies there. It appears that we're still having some challenges on that, but we'll move on to some other stories, especially talking now about chieftaincy, because the paramount chief of the Jawara traditional area, Na Porola Kabo III, has underscored the important role women play in the development of society. Now, he noted that in times past, issues of women were always relegated to the background, but the narrative has changed now as their views are included in most decision-making processes in the country. The Na made the statement at the annual meeting of We Are the Solution. Country coordinators and leaders of LoRa in the Upper West region have been attending that. Joy News' Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
The Pan-African Movement of Rural Farmers, We Are the Solutions annual meeting of country coordinators and leaders brought together participants from 7 West African countries comprising of Republic of Mali, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Guinea-Conakry, Guinea-Bissau, Burkina Faso, and North Ghana. President of We Are the Solution, WAS, Madam Mariama Sonko, says the ball rolling, giving an overview of the meeting.
The agroecology we are defending is a peasant one. Our aim is to defend the value and promote the initiatives of peasant farmers and play in the social movement, and to denounce false solution. Peasant agroecology is above all a body of living practice promoted by social movements with a common political objective.
National Coordinator for Ghana We Are the Solution, Anita Suta, urged participants to work to better the lives of their people.
As we deliberate, strategize, and envision, let us remember that our work extends far beyond these 4 halls. It reaches into the villages where women tend to crop and nurture families. It echoes in the laughter of children who taste the fruit of our labor. It echoes in the wind that carries whispers of change across the African landscape.
Paramount Chief of the LoRa traditional area, Na Porola Kabo III, averred that in times past, the importance of women in building our societies was overlooked. He stated that the narrative has however changed due to the advocacy role played by women groups in the country, such as Rural Women Farmers Association of Ghana and We Are the Solution.
If we were to look at 10 years or 5 years ago, all national plans, there was not always any section on women issues. But it was through the advocacy of groups like yours and RUFAC, supported by United Nations and other agencies, that now every national development or economic plan, women's issues are beginning to take center stage. And thanks to your advocacy.
A senior lecturer at the Sociology Department of the Simon Diedon Dobo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, Dr. Constance Awimpo Akurugu, reading a speech on behalf of the Upper Regional Director of the Department of Gender, Cheritu Boturi, enumerated the barriers that are affront to the development of women, calling for their removal.
The West African sub-region is saturated with deeply entrenched male-dominant power structures and patriarchal beliefs, which combine sometimes with unfair favorable government policies to limit women's involvement and effective participation in the agricultural value chain. In particular, sociocultural norms and customary practices that discriminate against women and girls lead to women having unequal access relative to men to productive resources and services, with the implication that women often have limited resource endowment and production systems therefore are marked by simple technologies and low returns.
Deputy Executive Director and Project Coordinator for the Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development, CICOD, Banaku F. Daniel, pledged the unwavering commitment of his outfit to empowering women to improving their economic well-being.
We still continue to work collaboratively with RUFAC to continue to address the issues of land access for women. Unfortunately, we've enjoyed the collaboration of the traditional authorities within the Laura municipality, Laura and Nandon municipalities, through the development of what we call the community land protocols. We have within the Laura district alone, 400 women having access to dedicated land for vegetable production, organic vegetable production. In the Nandon district, we have up to 600 women having access to productive land. Not only access, but they have security as well through the development of the community land protocols. We continue to engage women, especially in looking at their role in seed systems, community seed systems.
Reporting for Bay News, Rafik Salam. Laura.
But back to our earlier story about the calls for more participation in the upcoming district level elections is the reason for which the Chamber for Local Government is asking government to take some measures together with the Electoral Commission to show up participation in the upcoming elections. Joining us now is Dr. Richard Fiadomo, who is the Executive Director for the Chamber of Local Government. Let's try one more time, sir. Apologies, we're having some challenges connecting with you earlier. I hope it's better now. And the call you're making is that more people have to come on board and support our district level elections, because you say that's crucial to our national development. Why so?
Yeah, thank you very much. For us, that is the basis that underpins our local governance system, because the Constitution is clear, which allows that there must be a local governance system. And we talk about the local governance system, we have the administrative structure, and we have what we call the political structure. And the elections that we are going to have is going to elect assembly members and unit committee members. Indeed, assembly members, they form the assembly, they are the bona fide members of the assembly, and they sit at the General Assembly and make laws, bylaws for assemblies, and also approve budgets for the assembly. So if you have a situation whereby people do not take interest in electing their local representatives, it becomes a challenge, because at the end of the day, the kind of interest that they are supposed to have in the assemblies themselves cease to exist. And when it happens that way, the assemblies cannot function effectively.
And the point is, we've not even crossed the 50% threshold before in terms of, it's not a threshold necessarily, but we've not crossed the 50% mark in terms of participation in the district level elections. What's been that major hurdle accounting for this, as opposed to what we see in the national elections, for instance?
Thank you very much. You see, for the local government election, assembly members are supposed to be policy makers. Assembly members are not paid for the job that they do. They only take certain allowances. Assembly members are not allocated any share of the district assembly's common fund. For example, if I go to queue and vote for a member of parliament, I am sure that if I go to the member of parliament for some kind of development assistance, our drainage in our area is not okay, it has to be decided. The member of parliament has access to what they call the MP share of the DACF. And the assembly members do not have any such thing. So sometimes it becomes a disincentive for me to go and queue and vote for an assembly member as opposed to voting for a member of parliament. And that is why we are calling for the next government to ensure that in their manifesto, the NDC, the MPP, the CPP, any party, we expect to see that when they come, they are going to have what we call the electoral area development fund. And when there's anything like that, assembly members can also have access to some level of funds to undertake development projects. So obviously there is no incentive for you and I to go and queue and vote for assembly members. That's why we expect the next government to be serious about assembly members. We have heard that John Dramani Mahama has said that when he comes, he's going to pay assembly members. We expect them to go beyond normal payment, but to set up a fund as part of the DACF, as is done for the MPs. There must also be some funds allocated to the assembly so that the electoral areas can see some modicum of development.
And I'm just trying to, and I'm just trying to unpack possibly what the cost might be, given the call you're making now. That's going to be a very expensive venture, you agree? The fact that now would have to look for funding to give to assembly members, something like an assembly member common fund, you say. It's new. It's going to cost us some more.
It will cost us nothing. As we speak, assembly members are development agents. Members of parliament, for Christ's sake, are not development agents. But it so happens that members of parliament, because they give the formula, they are in the kitchen. So as they are cooking, they are taking some of the food. So they have allocated 8% to the members of parliament for them to use as their MP share of the development fund. If that same 8%, they can take 3% and give to the assembly area for electoral area development fund, it will do the trick. For example, what is an electoral area? What is a constituency? It is the number of electoral area that make up one constituency. So if an MP is giving 8%, the MP should be able to share that 8% among the electoral areas that constitute that particular constituency. So we are not asking for extra funds to be given to the assembly members. We are just saying that what is going to the MPs in the strictest sense of the word is even an illegality, because MPs are not development agents and they are not supposed to have access to common fund, which is meant for nothing but development. In the assembly members, they are development agents, and the MMDCs are also the development agents. That is why the money goes to the assembly for development.
So and now we have the sector, and now we have the sector minister, Dan Botwe, asking members of parliament to support the process. There's also another fear here, because the essence of the decentralization move is to do away with partisanship at the base. Inviting political party-sponsored candidates who are now MPs in parliament to support the process might simply reduce local level elections to partisanship again. Don't you have, this fear as the Chamber for Local Government?
No, that is not the case at all. As we speak, members of parliament are ex officio members of the assembly. So members of parliament attend assembly meetings. The only thing they cannot do is vote. So what the minister is saying is just something that happens. It's just a clarion call on the members of parliament to go back to their base and support. Because as we speak, they are members of the assembly. The only thing they don't have is a voting right. And is it also not ironical that somebody has a voting right, he has no funds allocated to his electoral area, yet the one that does not have voting right has funds allocated to it. So this whole thing, apart from it being an illegality, is also a misnomer. So the call by the minister will not interfere in the local governance system in any way. And I think the MPs can do more so that more people will be able to see the need for them to come out in their numbers and vote in the upcoming election on the 19th.
And we know that the election itself is just a couple of weeks away. What are you expecting in terms of reforms from the Electoral Commission? Also, the other constitutional bodies such as the NCC to boost participation?
Yeah, we are barely a week away. We expect the Electoral Commission and indeed the NCC to intensify the adverts they are doing on the various media platforms, to also engage in social media campaigns to ensure that the generality of the Ghanaians who are registered voters will see the need for for them to participate in the election. For me, what the minister has done by going to parliament to call on the parliamentarians is also a very positive sign and a step in the right direction. So we expect that we have about 7 days more to go. So we need to intensify the media engagement. We need to intensify the advertisement and all that so that Ghanaians will come. We appeal to all Ghanaians that the pace for development of this country is actually at the local government level. So they should take interest in who becomes their assembly members and unit committee members within their respective electoral areas.
Okay, and Dr. Richard Fiadomo, grateful for your time and thank you for spending some time with us. We now take you to some mining communities because in that area, it can be really difficult for some members who aren't directly employed by the mining operations happening and the company set up in their area. However, in the heart of Ghana, some oil palm farmers, with the support of Golden Star Wasa Limited, sowing the seeds of change. Samuel Kujobrace, our with our Agric desk, traveled to the Atieku community to meet the farmers and has come through with this report.
Farming is one surest way for poverty alleviation on a continent like Africa. Research indicates that agriculture productivity growth reduces poverty.
District level elections to choose assembly members and unit committee members.
The Electoral Commission of Ghana is calling on all Ghanaians to vote in the upcoming district level elections on Tuesday, 19 December 2023 from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. to elect new members to the various district assemblies and unit committees in the electoral areas in all polling stations around the country. The ballot paper for the district assembly elections will bear the names of your electoral area and candidates with their photographs. As a voter, you have to select only one candidate. You then go for the ballot paper for the unit committee elections, which also bears the names of the units and candidates with their photographs. And voters are to select only 5 candidates. Participate actively in selecting your local representative to the various metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. Remember, district assembly and unit committee members are your agents for development. So go to your polling stations and vote on Tuesday, 19 December 2023.
Get involved. Your vote is your future.
Kumasi or Cyclone, stand up. Rattray Prime brings to you another unforgettable night of music and celebration. This is the biggest concert on the music calendar this year. It's the Night with the Stars 2023 featuring the maestro Kojo Kofi Kinata, all on one stage. It doesn't stop. Also performing is the ladies' man King Promise and Kitty, the girls them sugar.
Girls wanna have fun.
It's one big stage featuring these stars: Kojo Kofi Kinata, Aquabwa, King Promise, and Kitty. It's all happening on Christmas Day, 25th December 2023 at the Rattray Pack. Rate 200 cedis regular and 300 cedis VIP. I Love FM, Insura FM, Gotham Station, Ahojo Roundabout, Rattray Pack, Poku Trading, and all ABSA Bank branches. For table reservation, just call 020-601-8820. Night with the Stars 2023. You have no reason to excuse yourself. This event is brought to you by Rattray Pack, Media Partners, Love, and Insura FM is powered by Logi Entertainment. Night with the Stars 2023.
The Night with the Stars is sponsored by Django Energy Drink. No fear.
We understand the concerns everyone has about the flag bearer of our political party. I want to assure you that he's not missing.
The report of his disappearance is false?
So basically
your flag bearer is gone.
This may become the next flag bearer.
Isn't it obvious? Our party is in need of a great leader. I have no other option than to step up. I want you to be my running mate.
I would like to announce
that I intend to contest for the flag bearer.
My name is Osi. I don't fear elections. I will win hands down. I am a tiger.
My people have a saying that a live dog is far better than a dead tiger.
I wanted him to invest in our campaign. I didn't know that he would betray me.
Now you have to win $250,000.
Hey, that's how much you know. Why do you have to shout the youth in the day like that?
Sorry, that's how much you owe.
Christmas is here again with us, and Volta Serene Hotel Ho offers you the very best, the most fun-filled and most relaxing Christmas ever. Dubbed the Serene Christmas from 23rd of December 2023 through to the 1st of January 2024. Oh yes, if you want to celebrate Christmas in a luxurious 4-star hotel that you can actually call home in the most serene environment, then Volta Serene Hotel offers you just that. All reservations come with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. A tour to the mountain Afaja and the Woody Waterfalls on 24th of December 2023. Our hiking, bonfire, nightclub, and musical entertainment sessions will leave you totally elated. We are poised to make your weekend a fun and a relaxing one. Hey Pumpkins, you are not left out, as our entertainment game house will be very, very active to host both young and old throughout the stay. Why don't you call us for enquiries and reservations? Make your Christmas a very serene one at the Volta Serene Hotel. Volta Serene Hotel. Feel the serene touch.
Of course, the call has been made by some corporate groups and also CSOs that persons in mining communities be supported as part of the plan to resuscitate, this whole push that people who do not have alternative livelihood get some in these mining communities. Let's bring in now Corporate Affairs Manager of Golden Star Resources, Gerard Boachi. Thank you for joining us, sir. We've just seen through that story there that, of course, the call is being made that persons in some of these mining communities be supported at least to keep on doing something. So it takes away the energy from, focusing on illicit or illegal activities such as illegal mining. What's your, outfit doing just as part of this new project you're initiating to tackle these challenges?
Well, the gist of our oil palm plantation project is really not a new project. It's been one of our strategies to sort of provide livelihoods and alternative livelihoods for our catchment area members. I mean, knowing that you exist in a predominantly farming area, you can't take away too much, and then of course our use of land also interferes with their livelihood. We need to be deliberate about trying to provide some sort of alternative livelihood, which is not too far from what they're used to doing, but also a bit more higher than the normal subsistence farming they used to do, and so make it more commercial. So the project is not a really a new one. It's an old one, but we have been improving as time goes on. For example, we're looking at a production plan so that they don't just go out. Now, when they're now good at starting on their own as a startup, and they're now good at paying back the soft loans that we give them and even taking more and expanding. So we're going to a level where we would now try and put up a production plan so that they don't have to go and sell their fruits, but we within amongst themselves sell the fruits to the production plant, just add a bit more value to their work and their hard work so that they get a bit more higher pricing. However, from what you're saying, we see that with time, the oil palm plantation has become a very good strategy also to reclaim destroyed Galamsey areas, but also hopefully if it becomes highly priced and commercial, be a way of preventing people from going into the dangerous and risky small-scale, illegal small-scale mining, where they only pay for as we say in our local parlance, by day. They just go by day, get a pan and shovel, they just pay their fees. I mean, if you talk to some farmers, which you may have shown already, I probably missed the documentary, it's much, much, much more worth their while than going to register.
The question as to whether or not farmers get to pay anything.
Sorry?
Do farmers get to pay anything?
Well, we set them up, we start them. Yes, they get to pay back some of the money so that we could give it out again to other farmers to start. So they don't pay with interest, but there's a revolving sort of fund that they pay back. And I mean, free things are not valued. Even traditionally, culturally, free things are never valued. So yes, they pay back the money they use for the initial setup, and some continue and never come back, but as others keep requesting for expansion. Yeah.
I see. Now, for those who might want to join, the project subsequently, are the opportunities still available for them?
Well, it depends on land. It depends on availability of land. Depends on also the area, catchment area, and who owns land there. We don't take land from the people. You'd have to come and donate what land you have. We look at it. We help you to set it up. But yes, join us in the sense that it's a very good model, and we're happy, not just individuals but other corporates, to assuming we have a big consortium of this sort of thing, this model. I mean, you almost become a strong match for the other palm plantations, but not even for them, but against import of other oil derivatives or oil products.
So what's the number, and how many people are you targeting to reach by the end of this year or perhaps next year?
Well, putting them together might be difficult, but we at least have covered most of our catchment area. We're going outside. We have just rehabilitated a tailings area which we use for the plantation. So these are internal lands we have used as soils. But at least we might want to increase to probably close to 80% of what twice what we have been dealing with.
And I hope the future is looking bright for this project, I believe.
Well, looking at the risk we are facing in terms of the distraction from Galamsey and all that, if this model is taken up also by people in policy and authority, you could get serious support and might reduce, because look, it's obvious that the military police intervention is not working. It's obvious that all the legal things, the prosecutions are not working. We're talking about livelihoods. People need to live and survive. Not supporting them, but anything that would take them away from a risky life would definitely be more preferable. Who likes to die in the process of making money for your family? Nobody.
Grateful. Gerard Boakye, working, of course, as Corporate Affairs Manager for Golden Star. Thank you for spending some time with us. You're watching The Pulse here. We're taking a break. We'll be right back. And now a philanthropist and founder of the Safe Zone Foundation, Victoria Opoku-Safo, has paid the medical bills of about 20 patients who were struggling to pay their bills at the Nkranza St. Teresa's Hospital. The humanitarian gesture, according to her, forms part of her way of giving back to society ahead of the Christmas festivities. We have more by Anasab.
Vida Sando is a mother of 3. She's been on admission here at the Nkranza St. Teresa's Hospital for the past 2 weeks. Vida, whose accumulated medical bills has been a headache for herself and her husband, broke into tears after receiving the news of a philanthropist showing up to take care of all her bills. I am in tears because I was already thinking of where to get the money to pay for my bills. I was operated upon and the various costs of medicines and our accommodation here. So when this woman showed up, I was overwhelmed at the gesture and I was praying to the Almighty God to bless her. Another patient who has been a beneficiary to this aid is Elizabeth Nenemo. She's also been here for the past 7 days, and even though she's been discharged, she's still here because she cannot afford to pay for her bills. Sunday is exactly a week since I came here. I've been discharged though, but I'm still here because I do not have money to pay my bills. These two are amongst several others who are lucky to have benefited from the generosity of Ohenere Opoku-Sro, who is the founder of Safe Zone Foundation, the philanthropist who doubles as the wife.
Life insurance. What's your excuse for putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think your work coverage is enough? There's a lot of excuses for putting off life insurance, but one big